Yo guys, welcome back as always, and I hope you're having a great day. Now it's time to go balls deep, covering the best shonen anime of all time, Hunter x Hunter or Hunter Hunter, whatever you may prefer. I like having the X, so deal with it guys, that's just my opinion. Hunter x Hunter is pretty deep. I mean, people are still uncovering hidden meanings within the subtle scenes Togashi has implemented till this day. In this video, I'm mainly going to focus on things that were foreshadowed in Hunter x Hunter and the deeper meaning it all means. I'm definitely, and I mean it, I am definitely going to make pronunciation errors in this video, but I'll try my best, please forgive me. So as always, be sure to write your opinion in the comment section below regarding the video, or any hidden or juicy knowledge you have on Hunter x Hunter to share with others. Maybe we can do a part 2 to this video. Now let's cue the intro. To kick this video off, we'll begin with a very much surprising yet expected moment that was foreshadowed quite wisely. This takes place during the infamous Chimera Ant arc, which is hands down one of the best arcs of all time in shonen anime. The creative limits that Togashi had implemented had allowed him to become flexible with this arc, where, with the commentary happening every episode for 15 minutes, introducing a wide range of overpowered characters without recycling old characters, which is absolutely mind-blowing for a shonen anime. However, one thing which was definitely foreshadowed in this arc before it even happened was in fact placed just after the Chimera Ant arc commenced, as Netero stated that this mission would be impossible and would need a sacrifice in order for them to come out victorious. Although everyone at the time, and if you rewatch the anime, may interpret as though Kite was the sacrifice, it actually wasn't. Netero practically told us his own death in order to defeat the likes of Meruem. That's why he was prepared to sacrifice it all with the bomb inside his body.
それは王が初めて感じる恐怖だった。すべてを絞り尽くし、死を待つのみであるはずの老人の言葉が、決して虚栄の類ではないと思える根拠がその顔に現れていた。
The foreshadowing for what happens doesn't even end there. When Gon, Killua and Netero play ball in the boat early on in the series, if you can remember, Netero at first doesn't use his right leg and left arm. Those are the same limbs Netero actually loses in his fight against Meruem. It is also shown within the Hunter x Hunter 2011 opening 5 or various opening 1 I believe. Netero doesn't even reveal his left arm and doesn't stand with his left leg. However, he balances with his right leg and his left arm cannot be seen under his robe. This was a foreshadowing of what's to come, because we all understand that openings are the biggest spoilers in anime sometimes, but this was one of the more subtle ones, and Netero was definitely foreshadowed that he would lose everything and explode against Meruem.
He sure moves around a lot. In that case, I'll just have to slow him down!
Another thing which was foreshadowed in Hunter x Hunter was actually Nen. You know how some people say it's a plot hole that Killua didn't know about Nen, even though he went through tests and part of the Zodic family, right? I mean, we have explained why that's the case in our 7 things you didn't know about Killua video. Make sure to check it out after this one, right? But the funny thing is, Nen was revealed way before we learned what Nen even was. Our knowledge of Nen was little to none. However, Hisoka is an example when he solidified his card to be like steel and cut the can open, and this technique was the application of Shu known as Wing Sun. So this is actually crazy. Hisoka showed us Nen, and then Togashi had the foresight to put that into the manga, and everything makes sense again. At the beginning of Hunter x Hunter during the Hunter exam, one question that tends to pop into mind is, who was Hisoka talking to during the Hunter arc? It makes you think, doesn't it? Hisoka was always seen in his own cutscenes talking to a mysterious person which turned out to be Gitaraka, which I definitely butchered and made a lot. I'm sorry guys, I know you cringed. But this specific character was a facade played on by Illumi, who is Killua's older brother, in order to oversee Killua's actions. Similarly with Hisoka, regardless of his powers, it seemed as though it was a mere coincidence that the both would meet in this timeline due to the fact that in the previous Hunter exam, Hisoka was cut off as he had intentionally killed someone, thus causing him to retake the Hunter exam, and with Illumi he went to supervise his younger brother Killua. But before all of this even happened, we did not know of the relationship between Hisoka and Illumi until Illumi revealed himself and his backstory. So the most interesting part is the interviews with Hisoka and Illumi, which contained the questions of killing Gon and Killua. This is quite obvious. Hisoka wants to wait until Gon is ripe to battle him and vice versa, with Illumi and Killua waiting for the same specific reasons. This leads to the both of them having a truce and working alongside each other in the Hunter exams. So although this was a subtle foreshadow, it did state the relationship that these killers had with each other before we even gained the knowledge of it. At some point, Illumi formed an unusual relationship with Hisoka, which is described as a give and take friendship in chapter 377.
Well... that's much better.
Their relationship even has one more alarming meaning during the Greed Island arc. If you haven't seen my 7 things you didn't know about Hisoka video from 2016, then check out this short clip and watch it after this video. Hunter x Hunter is known to have a more serious tone and is considered to have more gore and violence than any other shounen anime out there. Togashi often ambiguously implies the perverse nature of some of his characters. However, with Hisoka, his perverse and strong desires are not hidden. In fact, with this in mind, one scene from Hunter x Hunter may have gotten censored because of it. The scene where Illumi asks Hisoka to help him in capturing Killua to prevent him from using Aluka's power to help Gon. Hisoka then turns to Illumi and asks him the following: "By the way, am I allowed to kill Killua?" Which is in both the English manga and anime translation. However, Hisoka never mentions killing him at all. The Japanese verb he uses means to do. The actual translation is, "Am I allowed to do Killua?" which does imply killing in most cases. However, it is also a euphemism for sex, and although normally we wouldn't default to believe that Hisoka was implying to kill Killua instead of raping him, but the illustration of Hisoka which Togashi drew along with the dialogue implies the latter. This is because of the hand gesture that Hisoka shows. It appears to be a fig sign, and in Japan it is known as sekusu. The sign is normally used so that you don't have to actually bring up sex in a conversation, but still make it clear that you're talking about the dirty stuff. Usually this gesture requires the thumb to stick out between the middle and index finger, but this version sometimes used as well. It is possible for this reason Hisoka chose the middle and ring finger instead, since Killua is a male. So yeah, the joke which nearly got Hisoka killed by Illumi was asking him if he can rape Killua. And if that blew your mind, then I'll have the link in the comments to watch the video. Considering Meruem being one of the strongest characters in the entire anime based on his abilities and nen, his intelligence was also off the roof for someone that was only 40 days old. The Chimera Ant arc has such a great plot that I'd recommend you guys to watch again, because the amount of meaning, symbolism and foreshadowing involved is amazing. For example, one of the major plot points in this arc is regarding Meruem, Komugi and Gungi, right? When it came to playing Gungi, a complex Japanese board game which consisted of hierarchy, similar to Meruem himself by comparison, being the king of the ants and their ecosystem, right? Meruem could not beat Komugi even once. The foreshadowing kicks in once Gon and the rest devise a plan for the palace invasion, with Komugi using the exact same game plan against Meruem during their game of Gungi. Komagi uses a technique called Kokoriko, an advanced Gongi technique developed by Komagi that centers around isolating the King Gongi piece by separating it from the other pieces and killing it off. This parallels what Netero and the other hunters were planning to do to Meruem. However, Komagi unexpectedly against Meruem develops a counter to this technique in the middle of a game, meaning that the king piece, which represents Meruem at this point, no longer has to die since he unexpectedly survived the nuke, which is in the anime against Netero, right? Then later on, when Komagi uses Kokoriko again, she actually develops a counter to the counter, essentially doing a double reversal, representing that the king piece Meruem actually does have to die after all, which in reality is true again, because of the rose poison. After beating Meruem using Kokoriko, symbolizing Meruem's imminent death, Komagi and Meruem start one final game together, a game that they can never finish, 151 Black King and 951 White Lieutenant General. Immediately afterwards, they die together, leaving the board of Meruem's one black piece and Komagi's single white piece, symbolizing the one true person that matched Meruem and his other half of duality which he was succumbing to in his development. Further on in the game, Meruem places his piece down, symbolizing his death, and then Komagi responds by placing her piece down next to his, showing that she is perfectly willing to die at his side. Now, if you guys are mind blown right now and want more information on this topic, then please do watch my video from 1.5 years ago titled Mind Blowing Things About Meruem and Komagi, as it goes even deeper and has more analysis on what this relationship meant.
971忍び新た
291牙
槍3本と左辺の攻防違うなここだ551中将
Now in that same video, the pinned comment provided by a subscriber gives more insight and goes balls deep. When Komagi introduces Kokoriko in the story, she refers to it as her child, a seemingly unbeatable move until it was used against her, and she was forced to kill it by demonstrating the way to counter it in chapter 247 of Hunter x Hunter. Komagi didn't teach Kokoriko to Meruem, he discovered this on his own, and it shakes Komagi's otherwise immovable resolve. It's part of what sparks her own desire to keep playing against him and want that moment between them. That's when she makes the decision to eventually use Kokoriko against him, knowing she would be forced to counter the counter and revive Kokoriko. She never did this before because it was never worth the risk, right? She wouldn't know if it was possible to pull off unless she was forced with that situation, which could only happen if she purposely made herself vulnerable. Meruem not only had the knowledge to counter Kokoriko, but also revived her pride in that move. She makes herself vulnerable to Meruem, using a move that she knows can be countered, so it will force her to tap into her ability and discover a revival of Kokoriko if it existed. In this way, Meruem and Komagi create the true version of Kokoriko together. The light shining from Komagi at this moment is not her defeating Meruem, it is their union, as they create something that will live on after their death. Gon's transformation was foreshadowed several times before he decided to give it all up and power up. Small signs in the manga and anime insinuate the idea of Gon transforming. For example, Kurapika, who is a character avenging the death of his people, created a ridiculous condition of death to his chains to gain power against the Phantom Troop. However, Gon, who is of pure nature, suffers from the same problem of avenging someone he cared for, which is Kite. Gon gave up something more important than just the condition of death. He gave up all his life force and the potential of being a hunter, literally asking for death. Bisky even mentioned in the Greed Island arc that Gon is a flawless perfect gem with great potential, but because of his pure nature it will be his undoing. Wing, Zephyr and Melioron also say stuff about Gon's innocent personality that makes him a monster, which eventually happens. Gon was still slightly innocent and blessed with ignorance before he chose to transform. Melioron stated to Gon that he shouldn't believe everything that people say and should constantly doubt his enemies. Gon was foolish enough to believe Pito that she will save Kite. Melioron also told Killua that in the worst case, Gon would trade his life for Pito. In addition, a question which was in Hunter x Hunter was regarding Bisky. She can make her appearance smaller, so why can't someone make themselves bigger? Killua, once he saw Gon, immediately thought of Bisky. It was just the opposite of what Bisky does to her body. Answering the question and imploring the idea of what Gon had just done is incomprehensible. Once Gon was told Kite was dead by Pito and learnt the truth, his flawless perfect gem of pure nature was shattered, which made him decide to transform full of hatred, which Bisky stated would be his undoing, and is absolutely insane and one of the best scenes of all time. I hope that blew your mind. Anyway guys, to round up this video, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I uncovered a few subtle foreshadows that you didn't notice yourself while watching Hunter x Hunter. Togashi has placed this stuff all over the place, so be sure to smash the like button and be sure to let me know in the comment section which was the one that blew your mind the most. And please watch the other Hunter x Hunter videos I've watched, created on this channel. Also follow us on Instagram or Twitter to be in the know of what we are creating, and I'll see you guys next time.